The Rabbit Hole Show.
Rude.
Hello and welcome to the Rabbit Hole Show, episode 6, your completely irregular show where we get together to discuss whatever we like or do whatever we feel like doing. Every year we come together for a big end of year celebration and discussion. This year will be a little different as we cannot celebrate anything and we're all stuck in the confinements of our own home. However, I am one of your hosts, Kristian, and as always and as usual, I'm joined by the Jeremy Clarkson of video games, Jack Netley Thompson. Good evening, Jack. How are you?
I have COVID.
What an opener.
The thing is, something about the way you said that kind of makes it as if it's a joke, but it's not.
It really
does.
Also this week,
I am the plague bearer.
Also this week, we are joined by fellow viewers and regular faces on the channel, Rich Hill and Charlie Cooper. Good evening, gents. How are both of you?
Possibly have the plague. I don't know yet.
My fault.
Charlie,
I told you no tongues.
Charlie, are you riddled or? That came through a bit late for me.
Well, I didn't even hear it.
That was the problem with Rich as well.
How are you both, though? Are you both well?
All good. All good.
Good.
It's Christmas, hence the rock and roll Santa shirt. I'm happy. Well, it won't be Christmas when this goes out. It'll be long gone. But hey.
It'll be just gone. It's Christmas for anyone watching live. So, you know, that's why I've got the Christmas lights and the little Santa hat on the SID. That took me a lot longer than what that should have done as well. That took such a long time.
3 minutes?
Yeah, about 3.5, yeah. But as you know, Rich, for me, that's a very long time. For anyone who is not sure what the plan is today, we are going to discuss our best of the year and our worst of the year, our waste of times and Charlie's segments of tech, and we're going to do it all in the name of Rabbit Hole Media. Please join in the comments if you have anything you would like to add, any discussion you would like to be a part of, or anything you would like to put forward as your best of the year. Before we get started, however, don't forget, if you like what you're doing or what you're doing is watching us, you can follow us on Twitter at rabbithole_UK. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can see us anytime that you wish. You can follow us on Twitch at Rabbit Hole Media, and you can subscribe and follow on multiple different podcast services on and around the internet.
Indeed.
And you can now follow us on Instagram at rabbitholemedia_UK for all the behind-the-scenes tits and bits. If you would like to support us, you can head to merch.rabbitholemedia.co.uk, where you can get a wide range of merchandise that will only get wider. And finally, if you are watching us live on Twitch and are an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime membership a month. Please find it within that hearts to give your free membership to us. It will not cost you a penny, but goes a long way in helping us bring you the shows that you love. Hello to everyone in the comments. Yes, there will be a little bit of a delay, just how long it takes to ping it to Twitch and back down again. But don't worry, we are seeing your comments, no problem at all. Thank you all for joining.
My awkward wave was to everyone in chat. It was just, hi.
I thought some of them walked in,
one
Jack.
in particular.
So, before we begin, as we begin, we're going to start with the first thing on our agenda, which is just everyone's year as a whole. And I like to, when we do this show every year and do the year breakdowns, just have a chat with everyone about how everyone feels the year has gone, both in the sense of personal lives, rabbit hole, entertainment, among other things. Now, I realize this year has a lot to discuss. So I feel like there's going to be one general consensus on this. Rich, I'd like to start with you. How has 2020 been for you as a whole?
All right. Obviously difficult for many, many reasons. But that aside, it's been a pretty good year. I mean, you know, I'm quite lucky in terms of gaming side of things. You know, I've got the Series X, which is wonderful, great, still loving it. I've got a 9-year-old lad who I love very much, and he is very much into computer games as well, and sharing my love of computer games with him, you know, playing things like Rocket League, seeing him get so much better at it to the extent that he is beating me occasionally. But yeah, that is fantastic. So the gaming world has been great. Obviously, work-wise, it's been difficult.
Yeah,
Especially this last
Jack
week.
joined you this year, isn't it? So it's been a tough year for
Yeah,
you guys.
it's been very difficult. Well, it's fine because he worked for like I think a week, and then we went into lockdown. So
The correlation could only be that I put us all into lockdown.
and now he's forced the store to close.
I know.
Oh, no.
That's the fucking Netley Thompson.
No,
Hey,
it's,
now,
no.
I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
Just what I do isn't very nice.
Yeah. No. Having Jack on the team's been great, and obviously it's made me aware of you guys, and obviously it's been great to kind of get in contact with you guys and actually be part of the show each week, just even in the chat. So yeah, so that's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really good having you, man. It's really, I mean, both of you and Charlie have been really good at being present with all our stuff, and it's been great for us. We enjoy that. It's nice to have people to chat with about it and having more people involved. And the whole point of Jack and I doing this in a lot of ways was, we worked together at a game and we enjoyed talking to each other about video games, and having more people to share that with is always a good thing. So yeah, and we really appreciate that, man. I'm glad to hear your year hasn't been too bad given everything that's been going on.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's good, man. Charlie, what about yourself? How's things been for you? I know you've had a lot happen with you this year. Don't go too personal if you don't want to, of course, but...
I mean, I'll focus on mainly the good stuff. I mean, it's been a tough year for everybody. But I had the most important person in the world to me agree to stop being my girlfriend and start being my fiance. So the best thing that's ever happened in my life happened in this year of shit. So, that was great. I also got out of a job that was making me feel really fucking depressed to the point where I was having time off for it and load of the issues that come with that. And got a new job that I love with some people who actually turned out to be old family friends. It just sort of all fell into place. So aside from having like all the trips I had booked cancelled, like my holiday, all that kind of thing, all the superficial shit that, at the end of the day we can get on with, some really important stuff happened that was great. So really can't complain.
That's good, man. That's, again, really good to hear, because I know you've had a few things go on as well, and what with COVID and other stuff and other family things, but I'm glad to hear, man, that you got a positive look on things. How have you found games and media for you this year out of interest? Like Rich alluded to his time with the Xbox Series X and how that's been good for him. What about you? How have you found that?
I mean, games, brilliant, and we'll come on to that conversation a little bit later, I would have thought. Games, absolutely great. Films, bit shit. My Cineworld membership has been obsolete. And fucking nothing came out. Yeah.
Hey
my
Sonic came out, so slow your roll.
Yes. Yeah.
So hey Lizzie. I mean, when we get to later on, you will notice, and I'm sure you will all would have guessed what me saying, my honourable mention is the only other film I saw this year.
Mate, you wait.
At least you've got a second one.
You wait until my film section. Because at least you've got one. Jack, I think I know what your R is going to be, but tell me about your year.
That's been a bit shit, isn't it? It's been a bit shit, particularly the last 5 or so days.
Yeah, I have noticed that you've been particularly frustrated this year, and I share a lot of that with you.
Honestly, before this year, I had calmed down drastically.
The thing is,
I started working in retail again.
I know that's true as well.
I had calmed down drastically. I'm now at the point where I think every person I see on the street should be sentenced to die. For no other reason than they're outside.
And ironically, they kind of are.
I mean, me and Kristian have that same problem that we live in Crawley. So
Yeah.
it's a very different reason.
Oh yes, but I can't complain too much because obviously this what infection has been murdering people, and all it's done to me is mean I can't taste macaroni cheese. So like swings and roundabouts, really, I
Yeah.
could be dead, but
Yes.
at the same time, I'd also rather be than not being able to taste chocolate.
I
So
get that. I get that. My biggest
don't know.
fear of the disease is losing my taste and it never coming back again. That's my biggest fear.
how do you think I feel?
I
speaking
know.
A video of what white chocolate can Jack still taste, rather than
I'm only
ranking
about to
them.
be arrested because that whole thing about killing everyone, Siri just picked up on and started googling it. So I don't really know anything about that.
You know, you amateur. You mute your robotic
That's,
Alexa and Siri type thing.
don't be saying no name. She's right there.
Mine's on mute. You turn the microphone off.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, the button with the microphone.
You
with a
worked in
line
an
going
apple
through
shop.
it, and you turn it off.
Oh, there's a I see
What's
it now.
this? Alexa. See?
No, I've just hit mute. I've just seen. I've had this thing for over a year, and
There
there's
you go.
one of the biggest buttons on there is mute. I've never seen it before. But anyway,
You're very
what was the
welcome.
thing? Oh, macaroni cheese and chocolate and all that kind of stuff. No, I was talking to other Christian, and he was just like, "Yeah, I lost my taste earlier in the year, and now I don't like sausages.
Well,
It's my biggest fear is about getting my taste back, but things I love I don't like anymore."
I'm sure you'll be fine, dude. I'm sure you'll be fine.
I hope so.
I have to say, it's been a weird year for me with so many polar opposites of really good things and really shit things. I mean, obvious one is I was supposed to get married in July. None of that shit happened, which has obviously been very, very frustrating. And we're still not 100% sure whether or not it's going to really be allowed to go ahead how we want to next year, even with the vaccine appearing and stuff like that. We're right on the cusp point of where they think things will be starting to be normal. So you never really know. But
You also need to take that date and add 6 years.
plus, but on the other side of that, I had 3 months at home with Camilla, which is never something never an opportunity we'll get again. We rarely have much time to spend with each other. We don't have days off together typically, or anything like that. But we had 3 months uninterrupted, so I'm really pleased and will always cherish those moments. So great positive there, and I've really enjoyed having the PS5. And then on the other side of things, at the beginning of the year, Jack and I had loads of real detailed plans of what we were going to do with this. And after about 2 months, everything got put on hold. And every time we tried to restructure and we started to go somewhere, the rules changed again, which messed us up. And every time we started to get into a flow of something changes, something hits us, something affects us. Much like this week, where we had found a loophole and Jack and I were going to be a support bubble. We would have been back in the studio together, and then some prick goes and gets COVID. So
Blame Tunbridge Wellians,
I
who decided
blame
to come into our store.
every
and
person
breathe on
that
me.
travels to a retail store this year and doesn't just order on Amazon. I blame all of them. But at the same time, those people that are doing that are also the same reason that I am currently working at a place that's had our best year on record, and I'm probably going to get a massive bonus. So again, real swings and roundabouts.
I won't.
Yeah, but the bonus for you, Jack, is you get Christmas off work.
Oh, yeah.
You're
He's going to
like,
work every single day after that, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No.
You know what, Jack? You know what you're like? You're like a centre-back that deliberately gets a red card and a 3-match ban on the 20th of December.
It's a football reference. Jack will not get
I
it.
don't know what.
Yeah, I
any
knew
of
you'd get
meant,
that.
So.
But yeah, it has been an odd year all around, I have to say. But again, there's been so many positives as well. I got a new guitar, which was really cool. I got my PS5. I had some time with loved ones. The cat happened. There's been some great things, but there's been some shit as well. But what I would like to say, and I would like to take this moment to say it, looking at things like the Twitch numbers today, which have been hovering around higher figures so far and are starting to hover around slightly higher figures for us every week, and seeing things start to grow a little bit for us and seeing areas of revenue coming in and more people joining our little community we're building, and with all the hurdles Jack and I have had this year, to still to be able to put out weekly content throughout the entire year and not miss anything. I'm really pleased and proud of what Jack and I have achieved this year, with all your help as well, with supporting and joining in on other shows and commenting and everything else. And I'm really pleased and proud of that. And I'm hoping next year we'll keep that building. So just want to do a big thank you to the three of you and everyone else watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. I just want to
no
touch on that, Kristian.
No, you can't. No, you can't touch me.
I fucking can.
It's not the usual line.
I heard touch your knackers, to be fair.
It's been content creators that have really been getting a lot of us through this year with nothing to do. And like, I've consumed more YouTube content and things like that in general than any other point in my life, and it's always great to know on a Sunday during or just after dinner we can put Twitch on a PlayStation app on the TV, and me and Lizzie can sit there and have a really good laugh watching you. And I know Rich, you have the same experience with that. And it's just so yeah, thank you for keeping it up and keeping us entertained and informed.
Yes, thanks for keeping it up.
I often do.
Hey!
I really enjoyed that. Right, let's crack on with the best of the year. As you may know, every year on the Rabbit Hole Show, we put together our best TV show, our best film, and our best game each of the year, plus an honourable mention for each of us. There's a little bit of a weird cut-off point between the end of December, but it's typically stuff that comes out in the previous year. So anything that's come out in 2020 qualifies. However, it's been a weird year, lots of things being delayed, so I'm sure there's going to be some debates. Now, the first thing we're going to look at this year, or this week, whatever, on this show, is the best TV show. Who would like to put forward their best TV show first?
I'll go. And there's one answer. No, there isn't. There's a few. TV show is the only one where I actually had to sit and think because there were options. Everything else was just like, well, I guess this, I guess that, because nothing else happened. But with TV show, are we going honorable mention first, or
however you want to do it, man? However you want to do it.
Well, my honorable mention is The Mandalorian.
Okay, that's fair. I just want to quickly chime in and say I've not seen any of it, so we can discuss it, but please don't spoil it.
I will spoil everything. And the final scene was just a violently masturbating Darth Vader.
I've not seen the last episode yet. I'll see you later. I'm off.
Got back in 40 minutes.
I think The Mandalorian is the best thing that Star Wars have ever put out.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Movies, TV shows, games. I think it shows a more interesting side of Star Wars other than we are wizards. Ironically, this is a complete flip from when Rogue One was announced. I was like, does anyone care about anything that isn't Jedis and shit? And it turns out, yes, I care about everything as long as it's not Jedis and shit. And season 1 started off slowly, I will say. I was just like, okay, this is what it is, I suppose. Then it started picking up. I was like, hot damn. And then season 2 started, and I was like, okay, yes, I'm in now. Let's go. And every episode just ramped it up more and more and more, and it was fucking great.
Yep.
It was great. The character development, the different cameos, the different character appearances, all that sort of stuff. It was great.
It's good, man. It's something I am going to make the time to watch, but like you say, the first series starts really slow, and I think Connor and I watched the first 2 episodes when Disney Plus launched this year and just couldn't get into it. And at the time, we were watching a litany of other shows, and just kind of it hit the back burner, and since then I haven't quite made the time for it. But I will, because I've heard so many good things about season 2. I need to watch that. Being the Star Wars fan I am, I really need to make the time to watch that.
You'll love
so have you not watched any season 2?
I've only seen the first episode and a half of season 1. That's all I've seen.
Oh, I see. Right.
Right. That's why you're not that bothered.
Yeah, no, I do want to watch it, but as I said, at the time we first put it on, I didn't quite get into the first few episodes, and we were watching so many other shows. We had just discovered, a litany of shows that I will talk about in a second. So it just never hit. There was always something else we were watching, and because the first few episodes were a bit slow for us, it was never something we felt a priority to watch. But suddenly, I'm starting to feel that call to give that a go. So I will.
Also, technically for us, both seasons qualifiers this year.
Yeah.
So the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing.
Jack, was that your honourable mention or was that your best?
That was my honourable mention.
Fuck me. What's your best?
My best is, of course, The Boys.
Okay.
The Boys is fan-fucking-tastic. It is brutal and ruthless. It is just rude. Everybody loves Carl Urban calling people cunts.
Mate,
I think that's pretty much what the show is. There is some things in there.
I think what's his like? Well. If it isn't the invisible cunt, is the best thing ever put on cinema.
What winds me up with my accent, I could have said it just like that, but he got paid for it.
And you get thrown in
He's
jail.
also from New Zealand, just to rub it in there even more.
Yeah.
I just put the accent Kristian did. That wasn't a fucking New Zealand accent. So,
You realise he's doing a New Zealand accent in that show, right? He's not British.
No,
but Kristian didn't.
Oh no, Kristian didn't. No. But
Right,
in the show,
okay.
he's from New Zealand.
Accents are not my strong point. All right. Fucking hell.
Yeah, like I love The Boys. Like, there are things in there that people would make it not for everyone, but it's very much for me. It's just, what if you took superhero stuff and ramped it up to 900?
Yeah.
And it's great. I'm very much looking forward to season 3 next year.
That's
if
awesome.
they get around.
That's awesome, man. I want to chime off that, if that's all right, because for me, The Boys was my honourable mention.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with everything you say. And I think the only reason it's hit only honourable mention level for me this year is last year with season 1, or was it the year before? Might have been the year before.
Last year. It
was last year. But that was my pick of best of. And this year with season 2, thoroughly enjoyed it. Fantastic. But I didn't quite have the same euphoria. Maybe that's not the best word. I felt a little bit of the novelty had worn off by season 2 because I kind of knew
get what you mean. It's Age of Ultron to the first Avengers.
Yeah.
Equally just as good a film, but it's not the first time, so it's not as...
Yeah. And I didn't... That's not a criticism of it in any way whatsoever. However...
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I put my best of as season 2 of The Umbrella Academy. Now, the reason I've done that is because I think season 2 of The Umbrella Academy was much, much better than season 1 of The Umbrella Academy.
Oh,
so
I think the opposite.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
yeah,
That's fair. That's fair enough. It's all opinions, but that's what kind of
Cardinal
led me to
sin of anything team-based.
splitting
If
them
you
up.
spend your first movie or your first season building a team together and then immediately break it off, fuck off. Hate it. That's why Guardians 2 is shit.
I do agree with that in principle. I completely agree with that in principle. And I've said it on this show many times before. And when I was watching the first few episodes of this, I was kind of thinking that. But I think the overall story arc of that season was so good. And there were so many fantastic moments in it. And when they did all start to come back together, it felt not quite to the same level, but it had that kind of Avengers reassemble feel to it for me. And for me, that just put it a little bit above.
I did enjoy it, and I do really like the Umbrella Academy, and I'm very much excited for season 3. But yeah, I just feel like when the payoff is the same payoff as the previous season, and that is the team come together because someone is floating in the sky, glowing blue. Spoilers, I guess. For something as vague as floating in the sky, glowing blue. My dog's piping up. Chap.
No, that's fair enough. I will want to say on The Boys though, because I completely agree with what you said about The Boys. It is fantastic. The whole concept of it, of superheroes, if it was real, but like actually if it was real and it would be corrupt as fuck, because that's how this world works. And there are so many kind of very clearly deliberate sort of parodies and juxtapositions to so many things we see in everyday life with bigger corporations, in such a really subtle satire way. And I really, really enjoy that, how they put that in with the superhero genre while still having all those superhero things that we love ramped up as well. I think they do a fantastic job with that.
I also love that, like, juxtaposed to the really subtle ways they're taking the piss out of life, essentially, is the unsubtle ways they're taking the piss out of like superhero characters.
Yeah.
But the Homelander being the blatant Superman, and you've got A-Train, who's obviously the Flash, a blatant Wonder Woman, a blatant Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pyro. You literally have Iceman playing Pyro.
I know. I love that, by the way.
In season 2, yeah.
I love
I thought that was fucking great. When
Much of it.
Iceman showed up with fire powers, I was like, here we go.
Charlie, what about you? What's your honourable mention?
My honourable mention was going to be season 2 of the Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
But to play devil's advocate, I'm going to swap them.
You cuck.
You know what a cock is, right?
Let's educate.
There you go.
That's not
So, in this case, it might surprise you. I'm a massive horror fan. I love a ghost story. So my now top one is The Haunting of Bly Manor.
No, get out. Trash.
Loved it.
Trash.
No, why was it trash?
It was the acting was terrible. The writing was terrible. The characters were awful. Oh my god! Basically, it also couldn't live up to The Haunting of Hill House, which was fantastic.
Oh no, it was not as good as The Haunting of Hill House, but The Haunting of Hill House didn't come out in 2020. You're also fundamentally wrong on everything you just said. So there's that issue as well.
Don't make me separate you two.
I'm not saying The Haunting of Hill House should have won this year. I'm saying that Bly Manor was rubbish. That's what I'm saying.
Bly Manor's great. It's great. It's the nods to it, the way the adaptation from the source material was great. I like that they do use a lot of the same actors, and they're clearly building almost somewhat like a theatre company kind of vibe, where they're using the same actors in different stories. I really like that. Alan? Huh?
So
You've just seen it as well.
Yeah, I've just seen Lizzie's comment.
Yeah. Let's see Charlie's reaction.
That's so funny. I really enjoyed it. I loved the style of the filming, the atmosphere side of it. Again, that was going to be my honourable mention until someone else picked my best of.
We can have the same. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe that's what I'll do then. But I don't really matter now. I fucking said it. But yeah, no, I loved it. I love Hill House as well. Really loved Hill House. But I really like what they're doing, and I hope they do more stories in that vein, in that style. Really,
I do hope they do more.
It's a horror film.
But yeah, Bly Manor, I watched the entire thing, and there's one episode in particular, the black and white one. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I will
literally got to a point where
shit.
this episode must have 2 minutes left, right? And I was like 8 minutes in.
Yeah,
like, this is slow,
Supernatural
boring.
used to do that every now and
I
then.
don't care. It's done one of those episodes where you're building up to a show and you've gotten to the climax too early, so you just put an episode in of it. That's
I never have that problem, Jack. Just want to put that out there.
No, you are that point. You are absolutely bang on, and Supernatural, which I used to like and I haven't watched in years, did exactly the same thing. Every now and then, because they used to do a ridiculous amount of episodes per season as well. They were just throwing this filler shit without getting to the point. And it actually would have been better to not have that and get to the point. I'd rather have it be maybe have a little bit of a pacing issue than try and hide that fact. So yeah, I'll give you that. However, as an overall experience, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. And given that horror films are so hit and miss nowadays, like they just don't land well in general. I think much like when we were talking about when I come on last time, the way forward for game adaptations is series and not film format. I really think that's horror. But moving on with Umbrella Academy, I mean, there isn't much else on top of what Kristian said and what you said, to be honest. There's no point three of us getting into it and saying the same thing. It's fucking brilliant. It's so good. It's made me want to... I've only seen a few episodes of The Boys, but that kind of superhero, anti-hero kind of flawed characters in that vein, which you don't get in your traditional superhero format unless you're watching the Netflix series style stuff like Jessica Jones, where you got your... It's not a perfect character. She's got her issues, which I love. I want to see more of that. When's the next series of Umbrella Academy rumored to be?
I think it got announced very recently.
It'll be next year, probably. They'll be filming it next year, I imagine.
Yeah, Maletta says 2022.
That's The Boys, isn't it?
Oh.
Yes, that was.
Yeah, they're filming The Boys next year, so I imagine.
I'm looking forward to diving into The Boys. No, that's going to be that's going to be my next thing, I think, on my list. And by the way, the only reason I didn't mention The Mandalorian is I have not seen the final episode yet.
You will shit your pants, sir.
Again?
What about you, Rich? What's your honourable mention?
So, funnily enough, obviously we share a lot of interests and everything, and funnily enough, my two mention, the mention and the main is has already been talked about, and that is my honourable mention would be Umbrella Academy. Thought it was really well done. I think that it's different from the first series, and I understand Jack's point, and I kind of I fully get that. I just thought it was very good, very well done, and I do think it's a massive congratulations to the team that obviously Elliot now that they've actually already put in his name rather than obviously her name into the credits. I think that's a fantastic thing, just as a good team to actually have that in there. But I thought it was a great show. Again, you guys have talked about it, and then for me, Mandalorian. I properly enjoyed that. Me and Katie have gone through that series, obviously, beginning of this year for the first, and then obviously we finished it today. So one of the benefits of being off work at the moment was that we could literally watch. Thanks, Jack. Was that we could watch the final episode today, because obviously when I realised that it was the last episode of the series, I was like, right. Got to, when she was on a break from work for lunch, we sat down and watched it, and me and Jack have already talked about it because we knew we wouldn't be able to talk about it tonight, and it's phenomenal. Just reading her in the chat as well, but yeah, it's great, and obviously Charlie, we need to talk off air when you have watched it.
I know Kristian hasn't seen any of it, so
I'll plow through it as best I can, boys.
Yeah, I will definitely.
But for me, they're the main two. There was another show that I really enjoyed this year on Apple TV, which was The Long Way Up, which was Ewan McGregor's and Charlie Boorman, where they do the electric bikes from the south of America. South America. So Ushuaia up to Los Angeles, and just the stuff that they go through is amazing. The views, the cities, just places that I'm not a big traveler, but make me want to go there. There's a place called La Paz, I think in Bolivia, and it's just stunning.
They went from the bottom of South America to Los Angeles.
Yeah, on electric bikes, with a couple of little bits where they couldn't do it because of guerrilla groups and so on.
There are gorillas in the road.
Groups
Yeah.
of gorillas.
As
Damon
reasons
Albarn was there
go,
just waving a stick. But no, a really awesome show, and one that if you've got Apple TV, if you've got your free year or whatever, then it's worth a watch, definitely.
that's awesome. I'll add that to my list of things
Yeah, well
to get
worth
through. With that in mind, as you're gonna, because I'll just say as well, I want to do a little shout out to the most recent episode of the Grand Tour, A Massive Hunt.
Oh right, yeah.
The Grand, I love the Top Gear guys, and I've really enjoyed the Grand Tour, but the episode that came out yesterday had me in stitches from start to finish.
Oh really?
So
Okay.
just a little shout out to that one.
And there was a historic moment, a historically sad moment, but it's historic nonetheless for the guys.
There was, yeah.
Yeah, there was a historic moment. Very
But
sad.
I was
Very
in
sad.
stitches through like all of it. I thought it was
It's
so
so funny. So funny.
I feel like we do need to stop calling Jack the Jeremy Clarkson video game to start calling Jeremy Clarkson the Jack Netley Thompson of automobiles.
We can do that when I've made more money than that multi-millionaire.
It will never happen.
Yeah, we'll be here a while.
fair enough.
Oh dear. Okay, well there you go. That's our best of year, and I think it's fair to say that Mandalorian, Mandalorian, the boys, and Umbrella Academy are the top hits this year. That's very much obvious,
Absolutely.
and that is awesome. I love shit like that. Rich, as you were last with the last lot, do you want to go first with your best film?
Yeah, fine. I have no honourable mention, really.
That-
It's just,
That's fine.
just thinking
Believe me.
through, and I just couldn't think of anything else film-wise that I have seen from this year. I'll tell you what I will do. Honourable mention: rewatching The Fifth Element on Blu-ray.
Fair enough.
Because I finally got my hands on a Blu-ray of it, and I love that film.
Fair enough.
Actual
Lizzie
film, though,
adores that film. She'll be in
Yeah,
the chat in a
it's
minute talking
amazing.
about it.
Do you know what the really bad thing about that film on Blu-ray is the cover. It is the worst
really?
cover I have ever seen. I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but it is
It's just a big
literally
dick.
No, I kind of almost prefer that, but it's just
Oh, that is right.
Oh, yeah, it's not
it's
good, is it?
awful. It's just anyway. Right,
That
so
is that's a student who just learnt Photoshop. That is.
I could have drawn better than that, and I am the most dyslexic person on the planet.
I don't know if
does dyslexia have a
does that have a correlation to
with drawing?
drawing?
None.
Oh, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
it
boy,
does.
you don't know the type of dyslexia I've got.
I don't.
You sure it's not just that you're shit at drawing?
Yeah, I think it's just that you're not very good at drawing.
There is, without getting too far into it, there is a type of dyslexia called dysgraphia, the graph bit coming from the word graph, that directly affects pen control. And that's what I've got.
Oh,
Quite
okay.
rare, but that's what
All
I've
right.
got.
Is
We'll
there
give you
is there a
that,
form
all
of
right.
dyslexia that directly affects peen control as well, by chance? Because I might have that.
Yeah, I think that's what you've got, isn't it?
So, what was your film then that you picked,
so-
Rich?
My actual film, and one that I actually went to the cinema and saw this.
Fuck me.
I know, Jojo Rabbit, right at the
Okay.
beginning of the year before any of this fucking shit
Oh,
kicked off.
yeah.
Jojo Rabbit was a
That's a
truly
Nazi one, right?
amazing film. Say again?
That's the one about the Nazis, right?
Yeah. So basically, a child in the Hitler Youth effectively has a imaginary friend played by Taika Waititi, and it's a Taika Waititi film. And the imaginary friend is Hitler,
Ah.
and it is awesome. It's
That's
a
mad. That
really
was my
good.
imaginary friend growing up too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Charlie.
So-
We're cancelled. Shit.
It's got a really good level of humor about it. It's obviously a slightly darker sense of humor, but also just such a pure kind of wonderment about it. And I think that's one of the things with Taika Waititi films. You know, there's a couple of them, The Hunt for the Wilder People and things like that, that have these slightly sort of somber kind of moments, but so well measured and so well handled. And that film was just beautiful. I came out of it thinking just that was an amazing film. So yeah, for me that's easily the film of the year.
Awesome.
Also, it's the only one I've seen, but yeah,
It's good a reason as any. Jack, what about you, mate?
My honourable mention is Jojo Rabbit. Jojo, yeah, really fucking good, really funny, and then will punch you right in the emotional center of your sack at several different points, and then just try and make you laugh again. Yeah, it's very good, very good. No, nothing really more to add than what Rich has already said. My film of the year is Tenet. Can I tell you anything about Tenet that I understand? No. Not at all. Things go backwards for no particular reason. The future wants to destroy the past, even though how does that fucking work? Not even Nolan knows the answer to that question. However, everything's really cool. Watching a fight between one person who's reversed and one person who isn't is quite entertaining.
And I imagine
still
being
need to
Nolan.
see this film.
I imagine being Nolan, it's filmed beautifully.
Yes, absolutely. Even though that's definitely his cinematographer. But
can I ask one question about it? Does it stick to an aspect ratio, or is it still doing this shit?
I didn't notice, therefore I assume yes.
I mean, if you didn't notice,
6-1. If I didn't notice, yeah, exactly. It annoys me. There was literally the point. It never happened again, thankfully. But there's a point in like one of the episodes this season. I think it was the first episode this season of The Mandalorian when it did it, and I was like, "What? What are you doing? No!" But I think I only did it the once. But no, it seems to have stuck to an aspect ratio, which is nice. I think the aspect ratio was. But hey,
yeah.
But hey, it's a really great film. The action is really cool. I think I understood it more because I watched it again last night. I saw it in the cinema, but I watched it last night. Now that I have good enough internet to stream 4K movies, but I understood more of it.
That's good.
Yes, I think it's going to be like one of the first time people saw The Matrix and they just went, "What?"
Yeah. The way you were talking about it reminded me of The Matrix, funny enough.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those films that would take a couple of viewings, which is not easy to do. It is 2.5 hours, but...
God.
Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, I fucking loved it.
So, this year, I saw 2 films that came out this year.
Okay.
One of them was in January. And I genuinely really like it. And that was 1917.
Oh
yeah.
Came out in 2019. Right.
No, it premiered in 2019, but it aired for the first time in cinemas in the UK in 2020, January. I checked.
I'll let you on.
I need a
because I was scraping the fucking barrel, Jack.
To be fair, my checking got to... I googled the movie and I saw the word 2019 and I looked no further.
Oh no! The first paragraph of the Wikipedia page came up because I put 1917 release date, and it came up with that, and I was like, okay, that's what I'm thinking.
In which case, I need to make a retraction. My honourable mention would be 1917 in that case.
Fair enough. So yeah,
maybe even my movie of the year. Actually, 1917 is really fucking good.
It's fucking brilliant. The filming style, where it's basically it's all shot with the illusion of being shot in one take, and the illusion is it was actually 2. So you know, it's not exactly a. It's still fucking impressive that they did that.
I was gonna say there's several.
You know what I mean, like the way that they've. Obviously, it's several takes, but I mean the way that it's the one camera following the angle through the hole.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just
That's
mean
what I mean. I just worded it badly.
Yeah, there's loads of hidden cuts and stuff, like them climbing out of. There's a shot where they're climbing out of a trench, and it's CG doubles, and then it cuts to
Yes.
another shot. So there are loads of
really?
hidden
Yeah,
cuts
yeah.
and stuff,
It's-
but it's put together in the sense of it's 2 shots, and it works really fucking well.
Yes.
Like it took me a while to
It works
notice,
incredibly well.
but then I just got to this point, probably like half an hour into the movie, where watching it in the cinema, I was like, "Has this been one shot?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it just suddenly dawns on you. It's very fucking impressive, and it's made by the guy who made Skyfall, so that's not overly shocking.
Yeah. So I actually went to see it in the cinema with my brother, and I rewatched it probably about a fortnight ago, and just wow, like there are some pretty big names in it, but they're not in it for a very long time, and it gives you what?
I'm just curious what this film is.
What film?
Oh, are you still talking about 19? Sorry, I got lost.
Yeah.
No.
Still on that.
It's the
I got
COVID
lost.
brain, mate. Give him a break.
Names like Benedict fucking Cumberbatch is in it, mate.
Yeah, I know.
It's
That's
as bad
why
as
I was
Monday when he was
confused.
just
I thought you'd
drifting off
moved on.
mid-sentence.
I thought you had moved on, but I was like, this still
No.
awfully applies to 1917.
No, just literally last one of the Sony. I really like how the main 2 actors in it aren't really anyone that you know, and the way they fucking switch you, where you think you know who the main character is, and then it's like, oh fuck, oh no, like he's not. It's just great. It's kind of hard to describe because it is very, very different from anything else out. But if either of you, Rich, Kristian, haven't seen it, either on Prime or Netflix, I can't remember at the moment. But jump on and watch it. Absolutely brilliant.
Right, see you later.
My honourable mention. The only other film I've seen this year was Onward.
Oh, yeah. Certainly talk about that.
Yeah, it was.
Fair enough.
It was this year because when Cineworld opened again briefly, it was the only film I got the chance to go and see.
Oh, I see. That film destroyed me.
You have fair reason, I think, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that film destroyed me. It's a very good film. It's very good.
So-
It's not Pixar's best.
Yeah, it's good. It is
I-
good. It's great. It's a Pixar film. It's going to be good. You know, like it. Yeah.
I have done a disservice to myself this year and to you. And I've been trying to rack my brains on what films I've seen that have come out in 2020. And there are 2, as far as I can tell. And neither of them are making... I don't have a list, because they're both shit. Which is... Mulan, which I thought was really poor, really badly done. Not just a bad adaptation, but a badly made movie with a bad plot and some real bad editing, like real bad.
And
editing.
made in the made with the cooperation of genocidal maniacs. But
Yes. And then the other film I saw, which I liked even less, was Enola Holmes.
Oh.
I heard you guys talk about that actually. I remember seeing the advert and thinking, "Oh, this looks interesting," and I heard you guys talk about it, and literally, based on your conversation, went,
So-
"I ain't fucking watching that."
I had no idea what it was. And Camilla was like, "Oh, there's this film that's come out on Netflix today. I really want you to watch with me." I was like, "Okay, what is it?" She went, "It's called Enola Holmes." I was like, "I've never heard of that." And she was like, "Oh, it's about Sherlock Holmes' sister." I was like, "That sounds like it's going to be shit." I was like,
Katie and I watched the trailer and Katie just refused to watch it.
she made the
agreed.
right decision.
I saw
can
the
tell you
trailer
that.
and just went, no.
Yeah, it's the correct decision. So that I've not seen Tenet. I've not seen Onward. I've not seen Jojo Rabbit. I've not seen 1917. I think this would have been a very different conversation. We would have been talking about Bond, and we would have been talking about Black Widow and stuff like that. But these films obviously never came. And I've never been the biggest film person. That's no secret. I've said that before on this channel. I've never been a huge film person. There are a few films I really like and I really get into, but films are not my thing. I always prefer TV series more because I can watch them in smaller chunks if I want or bigger chunks if I want. A film is 2-3 hours and you kind of have to commit to it. And I rarely like to do that. I like to, break things up. I just struggle with films. There are some, Avengers, for example, or I have my few which I'll happily watch again and again, but I find it hard to watch films. So I've not watched many this year, so I don't really have anything for films. I've let us all down, and I will leave you now.
Fair enough.
So with that in
Yeah,
mind,
I think that's fair. To be honest, someone's just mentioned Birds of Prey, which I forgot came out this year as well. So I've seen more films than I thought. I saw Birds of Prey, and then obviously Sonic came out this year as well. But I don't think Birds of Prey or Sonic deserve anywhere near this conversation.
again, not seen it.
They go on the slightly better than Mulan pile. But that's
Oh dear. Yeah, fair
it's not
enough.
really
Does
saying
Mulan
much, is it?
earn the title of a particularly pooey shit?
A particularly pooey shit. Exactly.
Should we move on?
That's another thing we would have gotten this year. We would have gotten Fast
Yeah.
9.
We would have done. Yeah.
Fast pooey shit.
Honestly,
I was going to
it's
say,
just
what
put
topic
shit
are you
out
going to do
straight
in
now
that?
because no one cares anymore. It's going to be forever. All these films that have been delayed to like April and what have you, like Fast 9, like not
Bond.
fucking happening, mate. Like, what do you think's going to happen? If anything, cinemas are going to be fucking gone anyway.
Mhm.
So, like, because technically we're allowed to go to the cinema because Wonder Woman comes out, but they're all just shut.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, like, and obviously we've all these films like, yeah, we're going to HBO Max. Great. I'll pirate it then, shall I?
Yeah.
Cool.
I imagine they'll expand HBO Max to being available in other territories very soon.
Don't know. They've never done it with HBO in
Basically,
general.
what I do with Sky Sports, but that's because I don't want to pay £120 billion a month for it.
Yeah, Sky needs to go fuck themselves is what they need to do.
Oh,
But-
yeah, it's time.
Corporations.
I say that, but I
Oh.
Huh?
Grrr.
Anyway, should we move on to video games?
So we've got Sky HBO stuff generally ends up on Sky Atlantic. HBO Max stuff won't because it's a streaming service.
Mhm.
So it will only be on HBO Max. If anything, it would have to be renegotiated. And Sky Atlantic helps me about as much as a barbecue sauce covered cactus in my ass is how much that helps me. Because I don't have Sky. I don't even have an aerial in my TV. Sky Atlantic is
You now
not
TV.
useful. Huh?
You do now TV.
Yeah, but then you've got to pay as much as you would pay for Netflix for just TV, and then for just movies, and then for just now TV costs a fortune.
It does
It
when
is.
you add it up. Like, I was doing a Now TV, like, mobile-only sports pass. It was £5 a month. And then realised in that month, all of the games I wanted to watch were at 3 o'clock, which aren't on TV anyway. So I still ended up fucking pirating them for American Stream. So it was the biggest waste of a £5 ever, pretty much. It really adds
Yeah,
up.
it's like $7.99 for the movie package, and another $7.99 for the TV shows. And
It's
if
like,
you want
mate, it's like
sports,
11
it's
quid
like-
for the TV.
huh?
It's like 11 quid for the TV package.
What? That's gone up. Outrage.
I
for
need
a
to
service
cancel
I
it.
don't use. Then you've got to pay for sports, and if you have children, you've got to pay even more for their section as well. And yeah, it's a piss take, is what Now TV is.
Yes.
Let's talk about video games now,
Piracy.
because I've played those.
Video games.
Jack, no, Charlie, you're going to go first this time because Rich and
Okay.
Jack have both been first. So tell me your honourable mention of video game of 2020.
You're saying that because you know full well that most of us probably have the same game of the year. But
Well, that wasn't why I was saying
my
that, but you're not
honourable
wrong.
mention is Cyberpunk. No, I'm joking. My honourable mention is Ghost of Tsushima.
Fair enough. Well done, Ghost of Tsushima. Really good game.
I love that game. I really, really love that game. And the only reason it isn't but in another year, if that come out in another year, that could have been my game of the year. Like it is completely worthy of that. It's just that a better game came out this year. And also, as you guys know, as I told you in my very fucking ecstatic video on our group chat, the first game I've ever platinumed.
Hey.
So
That is
thank you
definitely
very
an
much.
achievement. You should pat yourself on the back and wank yourself off for that one.
That's not an achievement. It's a trophy.
Hey, that's great.
Oh dear.
We rinsed
But
you,
yeah,
mate.
like but no, it's I mean, what can you say about it? It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. I love the combat. All right, I think we discussed this, Kristian. It hasn't got the best story in the world. It's good,
No,
but it's not.
the story is not
Not
its strong
mind-blowing.
point. It has a competent story which it
it's not.
tells well, but that's all. It's serviceable.
Exactly. I have nothing else to say on that, but fuck Uncle Shirma.
And what about your game of the year then, Charlie?
It's it's The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Tell me why. Why have you picked The Last of Us Part 2 as your game of the year?
I mean,
sorry.
it's The Last of Us for a start. I mean that on its own. But
Number one.
what a roller coaster! I mean, oh, by the way, I haven't said it yet. If you've not played either Last of Us, stop watching this, fuck off, and go and play Last of Us.
Can you
As is
actually
tradition when I'm on this show.
can you carry on watching this first because
Yeah.
we really need the views?
I'm pretty sure. Well, no, Lizzie will still here. She's played it. But yeah, it's reading the things. We can't read, but we're reading the things. Lizzie, I did not need to see my fiance pretending to wank off there. Yeah, like, what do you say about it? I mean, we had the whole spoiler cast I was on, but everything, the way that, even the controls, the accessibility features, the story. I know there's probably anyone watching this who reviewed it on Metacritic is probably frothing up their mouth right now. That I'm saying the story was good.
They only ever
but
froth
they
at
are
the
wrong.
mouth because they're just shitbags.
You mean you
They are
didn't
just
send death threats?
Right.
Bigots. Yeah, and it just the fact that when they do the bait and switch and you start playing as Abby, and my immediate thought was, "Fuck this! I do not want to do this. I don't want to play this anymore." An hour later, I'm like, "Yeah, but this is great. I'm really enjoying it again." The overall
My
performance
biggest
is
fuck
the way
this moment during The Last of Us was getting like the 3rd page of upgrades for Abby. I was
Yeah.
like, you can shit off. How long is this going on for? Good lord. A long time.
Yeah, I did that in New Game Plus, so it wasn't too bad. But the Easter eggs, like finding Drake's ring in the vault, like there's so many just little things without even talking about the obvious points, which I'm not doing because we already know that. You know, like, I mean, you know, Lizzie just put in the chat the fact that we all thought that Abby was going to be Ellie's mum from the marketing, and like, you just don't know what's going on from 1 minute to the next in so many ways in that game.
I agree. No, I get that.
It's just fantastic. It really is.
Jack, what about you? What's the video game like for you this year? I know you've been somewhat disillusioned with video games this year. I'm intrigued to see how you're placing things.
I've been disillusioned just because largely they've been rubbish. Or not so much rubbish as opposed to non-existent. Not a lot's come out this year. COD's been uninteresting. Cyberpunk is awful.
Well, we'll talk about Cyberpunk properly on Press Start, a weekly video game podcast. I'm sure it'll come up a bit later in the day, but yes.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to go into detail. I'm just saying it's awful. And there hasn't really been much. Yeah, there's the beginning of the year, Final Fantasy VII, not my type of thing. Doom Eternal, very good, but not the type of game that would ever make it onto my Game of the Year list. And then there was nothing until the PlayStation era, and then nothing again after that for me. Plot twist, however, my runner-up is Valhalla.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Real fair enough.
So much of a plot twist that written on my list right here, it says Ghost of Tsushima.
Plot twist to yourself. Oh,
It's a
you
plot
like
twist to myself. I changed my mind. It was between those two. I think Valhalla's. It's not better from a technical standpoint. I think Ghost of Tsushima is technically a better game. I am enjoying. Weirdly enough, I'm going to praise Ubisoft for not having as many controlling issues as Ghost did. For me, the camera was the biggest challenge in Ghost of Tsushima, and it became annoying after a while. The no lock on became annoying after a while. And as much as I love that game, I do love Ghost of Tsushima, and I platinumed it. I was just like, no, Valhalla. I like it. I like it.
Fair enough.
It's good fun. I like the environments. The combat is fine. I just like the exploring, having a bit of a wander, and then something's occurred.
Oh,
We've lost Charlie.
have we look? Oh crap. Okay.
Jack,
dear.
you continue with your talk, and I will get Charlie back.
Cool. But yeah, I like having a good old explore. Of course, though, of course. My game of the year is The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, you've made it worse.
Okay.
There we go.
At least we're back, mate.
Um,
We don't need them.
yeah, it was The Last of Us Part 2, of course. Of course. Because it is the worst gaming experience I've ever had in the best way. I don't think this has been
Kristian.
overly thought through.
Okay, his Discord crash. He's coming back on. We just got to wait for him to rejoin the call.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So, Jack, carry on.
Yes, it's the worst gaming experience I've ever had in my life in the best way possible. Because just playing that game was miserable, challenging, just upsetting, unpleasant. No one liked anything about it, yet it's the best game.
Hey, 100%. 100%.
I'm really sorry that I've got to do this. Because of what happened, I did not hear what you said your game of the year was.
Last of Us.
Sonic.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Cool. Yeah, literally, mate, it was just that you started talking about it just as everything went to shit, and I just got so distracted.
Yeah, I understand.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, mate.
You're
Welcome
in.
back.
Yeah,
Welcome
sorry
back.
about that.
That's all right, dude. It happens.
Hey, look, considering what we were up against before, like 5 minutes before coming in, it's been a bloody miracle that we're doing it.
That is true. That is true.
Rich.
I just ran out like a madman, like Lizzie, put this in the chat.
Rich, how about you? What are you putting as your honourable mention for game of the year?
Honourable mention. I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna do a quick two. So one, I'm amazed that I'm saying this, but Watch Dogs.
Okay.
Legion.
Wow.
I have spent a lot of time in that. Well, as much time as I can be. These days, I've not had as much time as I used to in terms of gaming and stuff, but sort of hour here and so on, it's all added up. But what I love about that game is that you can make that game effectively what the hell you want it to be, and you can go in with silenced pistols and spies and everything, or you can go in guns blazing with a hitman, or you can go in hacking. You can do so many different things for one set piece. You can go in so many different ways. Jack put me onto the ideal of having like permadeath, so that your operatives, if they die, they die. And as Katie will attest in the chat, I'm sure, there are many times where I've gone, oh shit, because I've been in a gunfight and lost an operative, and to the extent that I've gone, no, I really want that operative, tried to turn the console off, and it still hasn't then clocked it. Just tried the old kind of hit reset. But graphics amazing, obviously on the Series X, and I'm sure the PlayStation 5 as well. The ray tracing is stunning. When it first came out and on the Series X, I just looking at the puddles for a stupid amount of time, just looking at the reflections.
All over again, Kristian.
It is, but this time it's real. But rain going against it, distorting the image that's in the puddle, seeing windows that you see reflections of what's happening. There was a cut scene where I was talking to someone in a bus stop, very British London thing, by the way, and I could see what was going on behind me in the reflection of the bus stop in the cut scene, and it was what was actually happening in the world as such. So sort of stuff like that is just, it blew my mind, and I've really enjoyed it. And even though there is one of the worst bugs that I've encountered for a long time, which is, or to start with, and thankfully it's been sorted now, but it was that there was on the Xboxes, Series X and also the normal, after a certain amount of time, and it wasn't a known amount of time, it would stop saving. So you could be 2 hours into a mission or missions, and you probably would have to redo that last hour.
That's a real problem, isn't it? That's not a good thing to happen.
But I mean, the wonderful thing about the Series X was that, and again, I'm sure the PlayStation 5 is that because of the load times being so minimal, I could quit out after doing a mission, go back in, and it would still be less time than it would take to load a mission, I'm sure, on the old Xbox. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Another one would be Journey to the Savage Planet. I know I've talked to Jack, and I've mentioned in my list for the year, for the gen. Sorry, Journey to the Savage Planet just threw me for a loop because I had no idea really what it was or anything. The trailer looked quite funny, and it was on Game Pass, and that's something I'll talk about later. But
spoilers for later.
Just go in and play it. Yeah. But it's just something that it was a great game, and again something I could share with my lad. Tom really enjoyed it. He found the comedy funny, and thankfully there's not anything horrific in there that would sour his little mind more than I have already. It was just a good bit of fun, and the graphics, the humor, just really good. And I've said it to Jack a few times, but anybody who has got Game Pass, give that game a go because it's a good laugh, and it's relatively short. Those two really. And then my game of the year, of course, me being an Xbox person more than a PlayStation person, is Last of Us. It's just despite my bias, if you will, Last of Us was a masterpiece, and for all the reasons that Jack said earlier, it made you angry, it made you cry, or it certainly made me cry. It tore me apart fully. And one of the kind of things, obviously, that game was amazing in itself, and experiencing it was relatively early on when sort of me and Jack were getting to know each other, and the messages back and forth of me going, I'm here at this point in the game, and Jack was like, I'm sorry. It was just insane. And that obviously I'm not going to spoil it just in case, but the last scene especially was just like, why are you making me do this? I don't want to press this button.
Oh yeah.
I am leaving the controller on the floor until I realized I had to.
Yep.
And I didn't want to. And it was just to tear someone's brain apart like that, it's got to be a good game.
Oh, absolutely.
That for me is why.
Fair enough.
There's a moment in that relatively towards the beginning where you're looking around. I'm gonna have to take it that people know a bit of that at this point, where you're looking around Joel's house, and she finds his coat, and she smells it, and then she finds the watch, Sarah's watch. I remember thinking, well, at least this is as bad as it can get. I remember thinking, okay, I got that done now. I can move on. I can enjoy the rest of the game.
So
I think you were wrong.
I mean, we do not have a word in the dictionary for how wrong I was.
Game of the year for me, I've been really juggling, if you will. So I'd like to tell you all a little story. I have four main games, if you will, this year that I think have been real standout for me for different reasons. First one I just want to briefly talk about is Ghost of Tsushima. We've said on Press Start before, as well as on this show, what's been really good about that game. I think it was a fantastic world to explore, really, really interesting environments and lore to explore, and a really good take on that kind of Japanese samurai culture in a Western way, but still keeping the true elements of that culture to it. Fantastic game, thoroughly enjoyed every hour of it. Obviously, The Last of Us Part 2, which you've all said has been an absolute masterpiece in storytelling, emotional in so many ways, thrilling in so many ways. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, for me, has been a fantastic gaming experience. I think it was a really well put together short Spider-Man experience, showing off next gen, making the most of things like 60 frames per second and ray tracing. And now, by the way, 60 frames per second and ray tracing, because it is now both that and the remaster has been patched to 60 frames per second and ray tracing, which is mind-blowing.
Not 4K though, unfortunately.
Not 4K, no, but close enough. Close enough.
I have another retraction to make. You see, I completely forgot Miles Morales existed. And obviously,
I haven't mentioned it just because I haven't got a PlayStation 5.
So Miles Morales is my runner-up. Sorry, Valhalla, go fuck yourself. And then Game of the Year, Last of Us. I'm full of retractions. There you go.
Miles Morales was something that was in real consideration for me, and the fourth game was in real consideration for me has been Assassin's Creed Valhalla in the end, which is such a U-turn for me, because when I first started playing that game in the first 3 to 4 hours, I was not clicking with it. I'm now 32 hours in, and I am absolutely loving every second of it. I often play in small drabs, and that's fine, and sometimes I get a chance to sit down and play a big chunk, and that's also fine. And I feel like the game has been so well designed that I can just play a little bit of a time if I need to, and that's okay. And I don't feel like I'm wasting my time or can't get into anything properly, because if I know I've got 20 minutes, half hour, if not digging at a main story mission, there is something else I can chip at which still feels worthwhile. So I'm really enjoying that game. However, my honourable mention is going to go to Astrobot Playroom.
Just Astro's Playroom.
Astro's
Playroom.
Playroom.
Out there.
Now, the reason why is because I've said already on Press Start before that I think it's a fantastic little platformer and a great homage to PlayStation. However, I think the timing of it and the way it was released as part of the PlayStation 5 and the way it was used to show off the PlayStation 5 kind of made those first few days with the PlayStation 5 feel really special. I really felt like I had a new piece of gear that was paving the way forward. And although Spider-Man Miles Morales showed off certain elements of the tech, and obviously you look at games like Demon's Souls, which are looking fantastic, and Assassin's Creed runs really well on it, and I'm sure Watch Dogs Legions runs well on it, among many other games. For me, Astro's Playroom was the only game so far that's really shown the potential of that console and gave me that moment of, yes, I've got next gen. This is exciting. And for that reason, I think that I'm going to end up looking back, and even now, look back on my few hours of Astro Playroom with such fond memories, because it just reminds me of getting the PlayStation 5 and experiencing the DualSense and all of those things for the first time, as well as celebrating years of PlayStation. And we all know I'm a big PlayStation fanboy, so being able to just virtually suck off Sony, as you will, whilst playing that was a fantastic experience for me.
You Sony pony.
However, I think
I will ride that Sony pony till the cows come home, love.
Oh, me too.
I think it goes without saying that my game of the year would, of course, be for The Last of Us Part 2. It's
How very original.
I know, and I echo everything the three of you have already said. I think the main thing for me as to why it deserves it, you can talk about the narrative and what it did as a narrative. You could talk about the technical aspects, how gorgeous it looked, the animations, how many mechanics are going on at once with AI and combat and all this kind of stuff. The different, the tension you feel as you're playing. That there is not a point where I played that game where I did not feel tense, overwhelmed, and incapable at any time. You know, even if it was a situation where I'd look around the corner, but there's a guy there. Even then, I'd feel like, oh, there's a guy there. I need to kind of think about it. It was never really a nice, easy takedown. There was still a certain amount of, I do need to think about how I'm going to approach this, otherwise it will go wrong.
Are you sure it wasn't, ooh, there's a guy there?
Sometimes. I mean, whenever Troy Baker's on the screen, that's generally, that's normally what's going on. But I think, for me, what the real praises of that game is, and I think, Rich, you were kind of alluding to it, is the way it really tore you apart and made you question and think about everything you were doing while still keeping it entertaining somehow. You know, and I've said before, it's not a happy game. It was not a feeling of enjoyment I got playing that game, but the feeling I got out of it, I did enjoy. But I think the standout point is the conversation that's been built around that game. Whether or not it's people hating on it for stupid reasons, people being upset about story plots, people grieving characters, grieving moments. I think the fact that the game has been able to do that in such a wide spread fashion for such a long time, it's still such a talking point. There's still so much contention about it. I think that alone says everything. Good art makes you question things. Good art makes you question yourself and makes you question your own morality, and it does that better than anything, let alone better than any game I've played this year. So, yeah, it has to be Last of Us Part 2 for me.
Do you know what you said there about the conversation? Like, one thing, it's probably still good it's happening because people are talking about it, but one thing I don't like, I'm not getting into the political side of it, the way people's brains work, I don't get, is whenever I see anyone talk about a game on any social media platform, be it YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, someone can even just mention that game, not even really talking about it, and you'll see in the comments something like, yeah, but the story's trash. And if you challenge them on that and ask them, they just go, oh, it just was. They never have a backup. It's like,
you will find that 9 out of 10 people
wanted the story to be like that. No one would.
You would find that 9 out of 10 people engaging in that conversation are not people that have played the game and consumed the content or anything like that. They're jumping on the bandwagon of the trashing because people like to trash talk things. People like to complain about things and people like to hit at the big guys. Or, more specifically, and this has become very, very, very evident with Cyberpunk and the amount of people that are still blindly supporting everything that's happened with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk for no other reason than, oh, but I like Cyberpunk, and still can't find a way of critiquing it. And yeah, exactly, Rich. I like The Witcher, so we can't say bad things about Cyberpunk. The Witcher played like a fucking
toaster when it first came out as well. But
well, Skyrim you can play on a toaster.
CD Projekt can't make a game work at launch. You know, like.
Why are people this bad though? And it's just been announced that company has lost $1 billion from the launch of that game, and that is mad.
Either way, with all that said, I think that sort of ties up our best of the year, which brings me to a segment called Charlie's Tech Segment. Now, for anyone who doesn't know,
it's been so long.
For anyone who doesn't know,
your segment, mate.
This is a throwback.
Don't want to see that again.
This is a throwback to an old podcast I did 2 episodes of with Charlie with back in the day of about, I think 2013, maybe earlier.
Yeah, it was fucking years ago. Yeah.
Called the True Tone Podcast, where me, my friend Simon, my friend Phil, and Charlie got together to talk about the music scene in Crawley. As you can imagine, it was riveting. However, Charlie had
why I only had 2 episodes.
Charlie had a section on there called Charlie's Tech Segment, where for those 2 episodes that we did, he would bring to us a little piece of cool tech and show us what was going on, and we would discuss whether or not we thought it was cool, whether or not we thought it was trash, and why that is. And we're going to bring that back for this episode as we have Charlie here. So with that in mind, I would like you to present to me your segment.
The only reason I'm not picking an next-gen console for this is because I haven't got one. Just to make anyone aware who's watching this retrospectively, who maybe hasn't seen the episodes I've filmed before, hasn't seen in the chat. Yeah, I don't have one, so I can't pick it. So, my favourite bit of tech, it is a bit of tech this year, has been Disney Plus.
Fair enough. Well done, Disney Plus, for getting this inaugural Charlie's Tech segment award.
Wow, the fact that we can not only watch all the Marvel films, all the MCU, but the fact that, and Jack, you and I have spoken about this at some length. We can go back and watch the Spider-Man cartoon series from the 90s. I have binged that. I have watched every episode of that, and it just made me so happy. Like Saturday morning, that whole Mark Hamill as the Hobgoblin, which I didn't know was Mark Hamill at the time, but
I didn't know that until you just said it.
Yeah, it's Mark Hamill, man. Right, listen to him and then play Arkham Knight. It's the fucking Joker. Or any of the Arkham games, not specifically
to be fair, everyone in the 90s was just doing a Mark Hamill Joker impression.
That's very true.
Very true. Very true. Particularly Mark Hamill in Spider-Man.
Mark Hamill as the Hobgoblin, apparently, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Reading the things we can't read, reading the things. Lizzie, Charlie, please don't get your dick out on the internet.
Again.
Solid advice.
Yes.
Solid. Hard advice.
No.
But no, in all seriousness, guys, what's been your favorite things on Disney Plus?
Mando, probably.
Would actually like to say Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You've been going through that again.
It's on my list.
So I hadn't seen it before. Just never had the opportunity to. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've said again on this channel before that I think Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has one of the best written characters in all of what I've seen cinematic-wise of Marvel in Leo Fitz. I think he's a fantastically written, well-developed character over the series. I haven't seen the latest series just yet because it is still being uploaded weekly on Disney Plus.
I haven't seen Series 6 yet. I need to watch Series 6.
So the most recent series is still being uploaded weekly. We're waiting for it all to be put on before we binge it in one go. Absolutely love it. Been really good thing to sit down and watch with Camilla, and we've become really attached to the characters. Particularly, I just want to point out, I would ruin my relationship for Leo Fitz. I would happily throw everything away. And I don't know what it is about him. There's something about him that's so lovable and so terrifying all at once. But I think I'm in love with that man.
That's fair.
That's my input.
Fair.
I would just very quickly say, because in the chat there's a couple of things, and I knew Katie would be on this anyway, but Muppets Christmas Carol, which is her yearly thing for Christmas, 100%.
One of the best Christmas
to the extent that she will, 100%. That she will watch it even when I'm at work or whatever. She'll literally just stick it on, just in the background, just to have something that she loves so very much on. And one of the big things is that there's a song that's been removed from the theatrical releases for a very long time, and this year they sort of said about putting it back in, and it's in the extras in Disney Plus.
Yes,
and that's obviously just awesome. And I watched that for the first time the other day.
It's a really
bloody
weird
tearjerker.
It's a really weird song they cut as well, because they do a reprise for it at the end as the big kind of end of thing, and Scrooge is good now. But it feels empty because you haven't had that bit beforehand. So it's a really weird thing that song was ever cut.
It is odd. It's
Why
strange,
was it
but
removed? I'm guessing it wasn't because it was offensive if they did a reprise at the end and kept that.
They just felt that kids wouldn't get it.
Yeah, they just felt like it was like an emotional love scene thing where Scrooge's then girlfriend leaves him and whatnot. And
I don't know. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think I remember that because I had it on VHS when I was a little kid. I remember there being
there was only like a few select home video releases that it was in. It was never in the theatrical release, and then many other releases, but there was a few VHS versions or something that had it.
Yeah.
It's just really weird. They cut it because they didn't think kids would get it, but it then kind of, as Katie has just said in the chat there, kind of means the last song doesn't make any sense. So really odd.
Yeah. The other thing I will just quickly say is that Lizzie, Charlie, has said about Phineas and Ferb, and I'm glad that there's
Oh my
other
God.
people fucking love Phineas and Ferb.
You've got a 9-year-old boy as well, so of course you fucking do that.
Right, we discovered Phineas and Ferb in Barbados when I was in the hotel room because it was too hot outside. And I was watching Disney XD.
Mitch, you're a man after
sunbathing.
Rich, you're a man after my heart. I'm telling you.
It's an amazing show. I love that show. And
It's
if
brilliant.
you haven't yet, watch Milo Murphy's Law on there as well on Disney Plus.
Okay.
See, when we
It is basically. Go on.
I was going to say, when we first got Disney Plus, I just binged Disney Channel programs. I watched That's So Raven, and Lizzie McGuire, and I loved it.
I started watching Sweet Life.
Phineas and Ferb?
Sorry, say again?
Jack, Kristian, have you two seen Phineas and Ferb?
I've seen bits and bobs.
Yeah.
I've never really sat down and just watched it.
I've seen bits and bobs back when it was on Disney Channel.
Yeah. It's got a couple of movies and everything. It's great. It's really good fun. The music in it's fucking
crossover.
brilliant.
Yeah, the Marvel crossover, Star Wars crossover.
Well, the music's all bowling for soup, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Liz got me into it because her and her sister used to watch it like when her sister was younger, and she's like, "Oh, you got to watch this," and she thought, "Oh, this would be a cool thing. I'll show my boyfriend watch every now and then." Yeah, I've been obsessed with it ever since.
Yeah. Honestly, you will love Milo Murphy's Law. Basically, Milo Murphy's Law is Phineas and Ferb, but just with an accident-prone guy. It's basically he is Milo, and he just is accident-prone to the extent of just stupidity. But Milo is played by Weird Al Yankovic, and the music is done by Weird Al Yankovic.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah
I'm watching
well
that.
worth a watch. And there are some bits. Dr. Doofenshmirtz is in it.
It's literally Phineas and Ferb tie-in.
So there are references, and Dr. Doofenshmirtz is in it occasionally, but yeah.
Nice.
Well
I
worth
do love Doofenshmirtz. Funny enough, the second best cover of Bad Guy, other than these guys' one, was the one where the voice actor from who plays Doofenshmirtz is singing Bad Guy at some Disney event.
Oh really? I've not seen that.
Just YouTube for Doofenshmirtz Bad Guy, and it's fucking hysterical. It's great.
So there you go. Disney Plus for Charlie's tech segment. We'll move on now to a new segment that's been coming up with Rabbit Hole Media recently, but we've not done it in a while. But what better time to do it than at the end of year special? It is, of course, time for the Waste of Time Awards. I don't know why. I was expecting a little jingle from someone then. The Waste of Time Awards is where we pick out the biggest waste of time of the year. And normally we do this in the middle of a video game conference as we're watching something like Ubisoft Live, and we pick out all the things that were a complete waste of time to be in there or something like that. But of course, we have the whole year to pick from. And I'm sure many people will go into multiple different genres and areas of the world, be it politics, games, movies, or whatever. Who would like to go first with the Waste of Time Awards?
Kristian, why don't you, mate?
Okay.
Away from what you were just saying. So if I chime in and say my biggest waste of time this year was video game conferences.
That was exactly what mine was going to be. just video games marketing, full stop, has been a massive waste of time. And
agreed.
I also mean
had
that.
a little runner-up. I had an honourable mention for a waste of time awards, and it's just any and all movie announcements.
That's fair enough. See, now I mean the video game marketing thing, I mean as a legitimate waste of time as well, because everything took so long. Like, just so unbelievably long to tell us any relevant information, and there was so much trash we had to dig through at the same time. And by the time the information eventually came out, 2 weeks before consoles launched, it was all stuff like, well, yeah, we'd kind of actually figured this out ourselves by now, because it's fairly simple, really, isn't it? It was just, everything was such a waste of time, and it's still happening. It's still happening in the games industry. When you look at Microsoft and the acquisition of Bethesda, that they won't just come out and say what that actually means. They're being so vague about it. Just shut up and tell us. Like, everything is a waste of time. It's infuriating. So absolutely, that is my waste of time for 2020, has been video games marketing. Go. Who's next?
Agreed.
Go on, Rich.
It's little bit of two things really. One is slightly joking and reference to the conferences and stuff. And I know it's a staple of this channel, but a trailer for a trailer or a 10-minute long fucking CG trailer that has no reference to the game, things like that.
There has been a real litany of those this year as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that World of Warcraft one.
Oh my god!
I understand you've got a new game. I don't. I lost interest about 30 seconds in.
I was going to say
because
that was because it was 7.5 weeks long, and
yes.
And it's just like you didn't even show an ounce, a droplet, a snippet of gameplay, and it was just this animated trailer. It had its own plot, character arcs, deaths, marriages, children. Like it was ridiculous.
Oh, that was my favourite film of the year, the World of Warcraft trailer.
You joke, but it was better than any of the ones I watched.
I mean, I will say, I was very much on the fence about Cyberpunk, and this is a bit of a kind of a from the other side of the fence, throwing a stone over and maybe hitting someone. But the idea of Cyberpunk 2077 being on last gen consoles is a joke. And everything that has been out in this last couple of weeks, and obviously, anybody watching on YouTube, this will be obviously maybe they'll have fixed it by then.
No,
you joker, Rich.
Rich, mate, that might have been the funniest thing you've ever said.
Exactly. Thank you. But it's just it's such a shit show, and the fact that they said, "Okay, we're sorry, and we'll give you refunds," and then they didn't actually even know that they could give those refunds, and they've had to rely on Sony and now Microsoft to do that for them.
Yeah,
is just stupid. Mm-hmm. So waste of time. Cyberpunk on old consoles.
That is the equivalent of Jack lending you my car.
What car you got, Charlie?
I haven't got his keys or his permission, or I don't know where it is, but you can have it, sure.
You can clearly see like Sony didn't take kindly to that, and that's why it's now gone.
That's why it's 100%. That is Sony going, all right, we'll refund your game, but you'll be fucked if we're still selling it, just to have to keep giving refunds on it. And fair enough.
To take it off the store.
Yeah, I think
it's gone.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough.
So that's my waste of time.
I saw actual people in the industry, people who work at IGN specifically, saying, like, I don't understand why they've gotten rid of it from PlayStation 5. And some just random Joe, like 3 commenters, were just like, well, that's because it's the same version of the game.
It's not on PlayStation 5 yet. Like, a lot of people seem
still
to be missing that.
the same game.
Yeah.
You're just downloading it somewhere else, and they went, yeah, I guess. No, that's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there should be the capability for people on like Series X or PlayStation 5 to still buy it because it works on those consoles. But
ish.
Ish. Yeah, I just think, as you were saying, you can't have it both ways with that because it's a PS4 version of the game.
Yeah.
And if you remove the PS4 version, it's gone.
Yeah. It's just something that certainly they should have admitted defeat and just gone, hey, look, this is a PC game and it will be current gen now. Next gen was when we actually release it on that, which is going to be 2021. And they shouldn't have done it for the current gens or the old gens.
I agree, but they kind of had to because for the last 7 years they've been talking about it as a PS4 game, as an Xbox One game.
I do agree, but do you think that it's better to do that or to do what they've done? That's
just them being a god awful developer and not actually making their game. Finishing their game.
It's taken them 8 years to make a game that doesn't work.
Any other developer were given that game, this would not be happening.
Yeah. No.
Like,
of course it wouldn't.
It just wouldn't.
It's because they didn't pay any attention and hope people would just take it.
Yeah,
they got cocky. They thought they were Rockstar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then by the missing $1 billion and the fact that they have to refund everyone who asks, pretty much, they are slowly, quite aggressively learning they are not Rockstar.
Yeah.
And people will fucking fight them.
With the money they're using, the money they're losing, this might sound a bit dramatic, but this could fucking finish him.
It could do.
The amount of money they're going to be hemorrhaging over this.
Really, really could do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
like,
not
I'm not
pocket
like
change.
doing that emotional. I'm not doing the emotional. Oh, the game is shit. This will ruin you, like people did with fucking Last of Us because they're idiots. This is like from a business point of view.
Sorry. Sorry.
Go on, reading the things.
It's
Jack,
just-
do the theme song.
Reading the things. Reading the things. Reading the things. We've had Hannah chime in and saying watching you guys could technically be my biggest waste of time, as I don't actually play video games. And yes, fair enough.
I just saw that a good 10 seconds after you were all laughing, and I was like, what did I say?
My missus is piped up as well, saying that she doesn't.
Charlie,
Lizzie
Love
does.
the pants.
we're running quite long, so jump in with what's your waste of time for 2020?
Okay, so I mean, there's so many it could be, but Lizzie put in the chat our year of this year was meant to be our travel year.
I see. Okay.
We had so many things booked and planned. Like we were going to go up to the far north in Scotland and drive the NC 500, which essentially you just start at
What I
Inverness,
wanna do.
drive around the coast, and go end up back in Inverness. That didn't happen. We had a trip to Mexico cancelled. Amsterdam, we didn't even get to book that because of this.
Mhm.
And one of the ones that hurts, not quite as much as the big holiday, but nearly as much. Got an email from EasyJet the other day. The stag do that I planned because I'm the best man. The flight's been fucking cancelled in March. So
Good.
fuck you, COVID. Sit on a cactus, to take Jack's expression. Yeah, that's my waste of time. Trying to travel.
And that
Yeah,
is
fair enough.
totally fair enough. Would anyone like to add anything to this year's end of year Rabbit Hole Show special? Anything they want to put forward as any special shout outs of the year? Anything they just want to make sure they cover? Rich, your hand is up. Go, sir.
Thanks, sir. For me, Game Pass.
Yeah.
I obviously referenced it earlier. I think it is just one of the most amazing things ever. And I know you guys have obviously talked about the fact business-wise it doesn't make a huge amount of sense and so on, but and consumer-wise it makes a huge amount of sense. And I am luckily.
It clearly does make sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense
true.
as a business sense. It wouldn't make sense for Sony to do something like that, but for Xbox, it makes perfect sense.
But consumer-wise, I mean, it's so good. I mean, the amount of games that I've played this year because of Game Pass that I would not have played. And granted, this has been like 2 years or however long Game Pass has been going now. But Game Pass is such a amazing collection of games. I mean, I have never played Skyrim. I have never really been that bothered. It came out this week on Game Pass. I will probably now download it and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Journey to the Savage Planet I mentioned earlier. Again, I wouldn't have bought that game. I've played it. I loved it. I've completed it in different ways because there's different achievements. There's an achievement for completing it within 4 hours. There's an achievement for completing it without dying 3 times on a certain difficulty mode and stuff. It's all these different things, and just the massive range. Everything from Final Fantasy VII original, Batman's and Arkham's and so on. Control is now on there. Games that are going to come out sort of day one. Today it was announced that Among Us is going to come out on Xbox as part of Game Pass, and it's already out on PC Game Pass, and that's great. It's just that obviously so much. A wealth of stuff that can be got at, and now with EA Play being part of it as well, it is insane. The amount of games that came in just as that was stunning. I picked up Alice, the second Alice game, Madness Returns, Skate 3. I tried one of them, the latest Need for Speed. And I'm glad I never bought that game because I tried it and that was it. But yeah, there's just so much content there and so much good stuff. It's not that there's loads of crap. I'm sure there are, but I've not played everything, but there's so much good stuff that I've just tried and gone through and gone, right, that's it, done, and on to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I've hardly bought any games this year.
Yeah, and that last sentence there, I think, is a testament of how good Game Pass is, that you've not needed to buy any games really this year.
I think I've probably bought...
On your Xbox, I take it.
So, yeah, on the Xbox, yeah. I bought Last of Us. Sadly, I'm not as much on PlayStation side, but Last of Us, I'm 100% glad I got that. But I think I bought Control at the start of first lockdown, and that was amazing. I bought Watch Dogs. I'm really struggling to think of other games that I've actually bought on Xbox,
which in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
That's
well worth it.
I've heard. I think you guys have spoken about actually. That there's been rumours that Game Pass may come to the other consoles. It may come to Nintendo and to PlayStation.
I don't
How
think,
likely do you think that to happen? Because
I don't think there's been any concrete rumors coming from any particular industry sources, so much as just people like ourselves murmuring on the internet. However, it's not something that would surprise me if it was to happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd get it. I'd 100% get it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. If I could just log on to my PlayStation and have Game Pass on it and have all those. Yes.
Halo on your PlayStation.
Absolutely. Take my money.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself.
The amount of games that we have an Xbox in the house. We have an Xbox One. It's Lizzie's, and I think we probably turned it on 10 times in the 3 years that she's had it. Just because the sort of games we play aren't on it, and if there was a capacity to play Gears of War on a PlayStation, I'd be much more likely to play it than I would be to buy it on the Xbox and boot that up and go to a different controller than I would if I was going to just play it on that. So yeah, I hope they do.
Well, there you go.
I mean, that'll kill the Xbox, surely.
No, I mean, the fact that you can now play it on Android, you can, obviously go onto PC with it, it's such a great way. And thankfully, it's also now coming to iOS proper as well. Although, again, Game Pass.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it got announced for spring. Going to do it through web browser, basically. But even the normal Xbox app now allows you to control your Xbox. And that is amazing because I've got an iPad upstairs that, early in the morning or whatever, if I'm awake and can't, sleep or whatever, I can then just log on and just play a bit of something, do a couple of missions in Watch Dogs or whatever. It's awesome for that. But yeah, Game Pass just to have on Androids and so on, and hopefully it will be iOS soon. It's just such a awesome thing in my opinion.
When they put it onto other platforms like say Sony, for example,
I don't think it will happen, but yeah,
if they did, that's what I'm thinking. As much as that'd be great for the three of us who play on PlayStation, what the fuck's that going to mean for the Xbox?
Well, that's why I don't know if it would necessarily happen.
Yeah,
I reckon it depends on the sales of this generation. If the sales of this generation are not that great, then I reckon there won't be another Xbox.
Absolutely. So far as well, from what we've seen, it looks like the sales of Xbox have not been that great so far as well.
No. So I don't think the Xbox is longed for this world anyway, so we will just start seeing all their services on something else.
And yeah, this is something that Jack and I have been saying on Press Start, our weekly video game podcast, regularly now, is that Microsoft and Xbox is becoming more a service than anything else. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it turning up in other places. And what I think that means for Xbox is a larger player base at the end of the day. Not necessarily...
Lots of money is what that means.
Yeah, not necessarily on their console, but on their service. And I think for Microsoft, that's a nothing but a good thing right now, because it is... I'm not taking away from the actual machine, like the hardware. The Series X is clearly a very competent console. However... you would be absolutely insane to deny the fact that it is not as popular and not selling as well as its direct competitor. And Microsoft know that too and are clearly adapting accordingly. That much has been obvious for some time.
I do agree. The only thing I would say is that is it not a case that all Xboxes that have been made available have been sold, much like the PlayStations?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if any official numbers. I don't think any of them have really confirmed official number wise just yet. So I'm not sure.
I don't think you
Not
could just
official
go.
numbers. We do know the PS5 sold better than the PS4.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes, yeah, which is amazing in itself. But yeah, I don't, it's still not a case, as far as I'm aware, that you could go, oh, I just want to buy a Series X and just walk to game and go, I'll grab one.
I think you're right. You can't get Series X, but you can get Series S quite easily, I believe.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
but
that doesn't count.
Yeah. And also the amount they made of the Xboxes was less because they had less pre-orders to cater to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Less projection anyway. So there you go. Well, there you go.
Yeah, less projection. Yeah.
A shout out to Game Pass. Is there any other little things anyone would like to add in before we wrap up today?
I have a waste of time to add.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Boris Johnson existing.
I knew some politics was going to get
That's all I have to say on
That's
the
fair
matter.
enough. Charlie, what was your added waste of time?
Stadia.
You
What
say that,
a heap
you
of
say
shit.
that, but apparently Cyberpunk runs best on Stadia, so it has
It's
it has a reason to live after all.
For the 7 people with Stadia, that's thrilling news.
Yeah. I listened to Talksport on the way to work, and they ram Cyberpunk adverts out like all the time. And that makes me laugh, not as much as when they say available on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Stadia. As if that's the redeeming quality. Fuck off.
In which case,
Not that I'm that bothered.
this has been the end of year rabbit hole show. Thank you to my 3 guests, my regular co-host and friend Jack Netley Thompson.
I was going to say, I'm not a fucking jet. You're a smack.
No, COVID is the guest this week.
And yeah, Co is the 3rd guest. And of course, Rich Hill and Charlie Cooper for joining us once again. And again, well, I thank you both for your support over this year, and indeed to anyone watching. Just a reminder, this is your end of year show. Of course, if you like what you're doing and what you're doing is watching us, you can follow us on Twitter at rabbithole_UK. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can see us anytime that you wish. You can follow us on Twitch at Rabbit Hole Media, and you can subscribe and follow on multiple different podcast services on and around the internet.
Indeed.
And now you can follow us on Instagram at rabbitholemedia_UK for all the behind the scenes tits and bits. If you would like to support us, you can head to merch.rabbitholemedia.co.uk, where you can buy a wide range of merchandise that will only get wider. And finally, if you are watching us live on Twitch and are an Amazon Prime member, you get 1 free Twitch Prime membership a month. Please find it within your hearts to give that free membership to us. It will not cost you a penny, but will go a long way in helping us bring you the shows that you love. Of course, don't forget to check out Press Start, a weekly video game podcast on a Monday morning on YouTube and podcast services, and Twitch every Sunday evening to watch podcast Press Start recorded live, and hopefully soon enough back into our regular schedule of Twitch on a Tuesday as well, doing a game stream among other things. And I'm sure Jack and I will have more to announce over the coming weeks of our plans for 2021 and how we're going to readapt again to keep bringing new content, better shows and better content for you. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. I appreciate each and one of you,
Thanks,
especially
guys.
you,
It's
Jack,
a lot of
with
fun,
your
as always.
COVID-riddled face. And to everyone watching, thank you for supporting us throughout the year. Thank you for watching us live. And whether you are watching it live night now or watching us on YouTube later, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. Until next time.
Bye.
What?
I think he was just saying goodbye.
Oh.
I thought that's how it was ending.
Completely ruined my flow, you big cuck. Fuck off. Right, until next time, we'll see you then.